It is finally time for my 2022 NFL playoff predictions. We've been waiting for it all season long, and wildcard weekend is finally right around the corner. This is the playoff bracket for this postseason. We'll start off with the AFC, where the Chiefs have the 1 seed, so they do get the bye. But number 2 versus number 7, Bills versus Dolphins, back up in Buffalo, where the Dolphins lost on a game-winning field goal just a couple weeks ago on Saturday Night Football. But earlier in the season, the Dolphins did beat the Bills. But in this playoff game, no Tua, no Teddy Bridgewater, 7th round rookie third stringer Skylar Thompson will get the starts. And when it's a quarterback that's not Tua in this Dolphins offense, they've just been absolutely garbage all season long. That's why the Dolphins haven't won a single game without Tua. And I don't expect this, well, actually, except for the Jets game last week, but I don't really have many high hopes for my Dolphins in this game. Glad to see them back in the playoffs. But the Bills are on a mission this season. I'm going to take them to move on to the divisional round. Next up, number 3 versus number 6, Bengals versus Ravens. This game is in Cincinnati. And the Ravens are kind of in the same boat as the Dolphins. No Lamar Jackson as potentially his last game as a Raven. We won't know until this offseason. But he's asking for a lot of money. That's all we know. And they did just give a huge extension to Roquan Smith, so they do have the option to franchise tag him, maybe even trade him if they need to, but we'll see what happens with that. I'm going to take the Bengals to win this game. Their offense without Lamar has been not great all season long, to say the very least. The defense has stepped up majorly with the Roquan Smith trade, but against this Bengals offense, I really don't see them standing any chances. I'm going to take the Bengals to win this game. Last but not least, in the AFC wildcard, Jags versus Chargers, the most debatable AFC game that I've seen yet. The Jags, of course, the higher seed, they get the home field advantage, but I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm not even sure if that's the upset pick, but I'm going to take the Chargers to win this game. The offense has been playing great this season, especially when they're actually healthy. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, a lot to take care of. Even Rashawn Slater may be back. I think he won't be back this weekend, but maybe even next weekend if they do win this game against the Jags. Mike Williams is questionable, but I do expect him to pull through and play. And even if not, you still have guys behind him. You got Jared Everett and DeAndre Carter. I'm forgetting Josh Palmer. But I do think that the Chargers will win this game. The Jags are inexperienced, so great run by them this season to even win the division. But they still do have a lot of young pieces to develop. So I do have the Chargers to move on to the divisional round. And onto the NFC, where the Philadelphia Eagles have the number 1 seed, so they get the bye this season. But the number 2 Niners versus the number 7 Seahawks in this wildcard round. Credit to the Seahawks for making it all the way to the playoffs. I had them going 2-14 this season. They proved everybody wrong, so credits to Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, and the Seahawks. But the Niners are on a mission. They can be Super Bowl contenders with Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, which is crazy to say. But I'm going to take the Niners. Great season by the Seahawks, but it's going to come to an end here. Number 3 Vikings versus number 6 Giants. This is very debatable. Seen a lot of people take the Giants, and that's led to the Vikings being the actual underdog for this game. But I'm going to take the Vikings for this one. The Giants haven't been to the playoffs since like Odell Victor Cruz days, ever since that boat picture in 2016. But Daniel Jones, great season by him. Pretty clear that Brian Daboll was able to get the most out of Daniel Jones. And if they can actually surround him with weapons, this Giants team can be good. If they get some more defensive pieces, let the young guys develop, this team can actually be really good. They developed a really nice O-line. Saquon Barkley really broke out this year once again from his injury last season. And the Giants can be a real team next season. Who knows? They do have a chance to win this game. I'm not putting it completely on the Vikings to do it, but the Vikings do finish games really well, and if they get into a close game, there's like a 95% chance they are going to pull out in it. They finished a lot of close games against a lot of bad teams, but bottom line is that they get the win. So I'm going to take the Vikings to move on to the divisional round. A lot of people say they're frauds. Not saying that they're real contenders, but I think that they will be able to get it done against the Giants. And last but not least, maybe the most debatable game in this whole wildcard playoff race. The Cowboys versus the Bucks. The Bucks do have home field advantage as the 4 seed. I feel like we see this matchup at least once every season. And here we are, seeing them in the playoffs. Brady in potentially his last season I'm going to take the Cowboys to win this game. I know that it's all set up for the Bucs to make a run at the Super Bowl and Brady's potential last season, but I just don't see it happening. I've seen a lot of people take the Bucs because the Cowboys choke in the playoffs, and I know they do. I don't have them going very far, just to let you know, but the Bucs have not been playing well all season. Brady's not been playing well. This offense has not been great at all. Sure, Mike Evans had a huge game with Brady in the Panthers game just a couple weeks ago, but the Panthers didn't have their top couple corners. And the Panthers, they still got a lot of work to do, especially on defense. But I'm going to take the Cowboys to win this game. The Bucs haven't had their moments. Their defense can live up to the expectations. They can step up at the right times, but I think the Cowboys have really shown that they can also do the same too. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to move on to the divisional round. And this is what the playoff predictions are looking like at this moment going into this divisional round. We'll hop back into the AFC where the Bills play the Bengals. Glad to see these two teams finally facing it off after that crazy sequence on Monday night just a couple weeks ago. This time, though, the game is in Buffalo. The Bengals were leading 7-3 at the time of the postpone of the game. But it was looking like it was going to be crazy when I think that we should get what we're hoping for in this game here. It's really tough. This game could easily go either way, but I'm going to take the Bills to do this. Like I said before, I think the Bills are on a mission this season. I'm not saying I have them going all the way just yet. We'll see where we get. But I am going to take the Bills to do this. Sure, the Bengals just got to the Super Bowl last year. They beat the team last year that beat the Bills earlier in the playoffs. And I do think that the Bengals' time will be coming very soon. But for this, the Bills have yet to have a Super Bowl since forever. The Bills haven't even won a Super Bowl yet. And I think that this year could potentially be the year to do it. They have all the pieces. They have the pieces on defense. They have everything they need on offense. I'm going to take the Bills to beat the Bengals, but I would not be surprised if the Bengals put up a fight or even won that game if they do face off in the divisional round. And next up, Chargers versus Chiefs. This is a prime pick for an upset here. To take the Chargers over the Chiefs. They played a very close game week 2 Thursday night in Arrowhead where the Chiefs barely pulled it off. But I'm going to take Kansas City to do it. Setting up a great Bills versus Chiefs rematch in the conference round. It's what everyone's been wanting. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers put up a real fight in this game, which is what I think is going to happen. But I do think that the Chiefs just have the upper hand. They have Patrick Mahomes, and we know any team that has Patrick Mahomes is always going to be the upper hand team. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. They are more experienced. It's Herbert's first time in the playoffs. The Chargers will have their moments in the future, but for now, I'm going to give it to the experienced team, and that is the Chiefs. And hopping back into the NFC for the divisional round, Niners-Vikings starting out. And like I said before, the Vikings can finish those close games, but the problem is that if they're not in the close games, then they can't finish them. And the Niners are just clearly the better team. As the best defense in the league, I think that they are going to find a way to shut down Justin Jefferson. There's been games where Justin Jefferson just completely goes silent and nobody really notices. He had a very quiet game against the Lions earlier this season where Jeff Okudah locked him up to like 1 or 2 catches. I'm going to take the Niners to do this. Brock Purdy has yet to have a bad game. He got into his first real competitive game against the Raiders in overtime a couple weeks ago, and he played lights out. Sure, he's going to make a couple mistakes here and there where he threw the interception late in the game. In the end, he's Mr. Irrelevant. He was the very last pick in the draft. He's going to make some mistakes, but for a guy who's not lost a single game this season, you can't be surprised if he leads them all the way to the Super Bowl, which is where we'll get in a second. Next up, Cowboys versus Eagles. These teams rematch after the Cowboys barely beat the Eagles without Jalen Hurts. Now with Jalen Hurts, I think we kind of all know where the direction I'm going. I'm going to take the Eagles to do this. It pains me because I know Tua was taken 5th and Hurts was in the 2nd round, and here they are going to the Super Bowl. But the Eagles do have a better team completely around Jalen Hurts. They do have the O-line. They have the running game too. They have the defense, which is by far whole nother level. But I'm going to take the Eagles to face off against the Niners in the conference round. It's looking unlikely that this is actually going to happen. The 1 versus 2 seeds in both conferences is definitely never going to happen, but it's what I'm going to go for. and popping back into the AFC for the AFC Championship game. Bills versus Chiefs. If this is actually what would happen, this game is actually going to be played in Atlanta. So we are in Atlanta for my hypothetical situation, as I'm not going to say yet, actually. These teams are rematching after the AFC divisional game last year. Crazy game where the Bills looked like the Bills had it in their hands until 13 seconds later. We are in overtime all of a sudden, and the Chiefs were able to pull it out. They do have new overtime rules where the first team can't win off of their first drive, which is great to see, especially for a game like this that could potentially happen for the Super Bowl. But I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills to win this game. The Bills did win earlier in the season. I think 24-20 was the final score. But not saying the Chiefs can't win this game. The Chiefs definitely have a chance to win this game. They have all the pieces they need to. But the Bills, I just think, they're on a mission. That's what I'm going to keep saying. The Bills are on a mission this season to get it done for their franchise. And I don't think anything is in their way. Sure, the Chiefs are going to be an obstacle, but I think that they can, like I said, they already beat this team earlier in the season, and the regular season is different from the playoffs. But I think the Bills are going to even play better in the playoffs. They are a second half team. They do sometimes struggle in the first half, then pick it up completely in the second half. They are going to have to come out stronger if they want to face a team like not only the Dolphins, but the Bengals and the Chiefs and whatever team I have them playing in the Super Bowl. But I'm going to take the Bills to finally get to the Super Bowl for, I don't even know what year the last time they got there was, but to potentially have the chance to win the first Super Bowl in franchise history. And on the NFC side, 49ers Eagles. Finally, the matchup we've been waiting for. The number 1 versus number 2 seed. This game is going to be in Philly. I could see it going either way. The Eagles have the weapons. The Eagles have the defense. They have the whole team. They have probably the most balanced team in the NFL to get it done. But the Niners are just a whole nother level. They have the best defense in the league. Brock Purdy, like I said, is yet to have a bad game, which could potentially happen in the playoffs if the spotlight gets to him. But we've yet to see it. So you can't really say that's going to happen. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, one of the best O-line in the games. It is very hard to mess up in what I like to compare the 49ers to the Alabama football team, where you have 5 stars surrounding you. The best running back in the game, one of the most explosive receiver in the game, one of the other most explosive receivers in the game, George Kittle, one of the best tight ends in the game, and last but not least, the best defense in the game, topping it off with one of the top head coaches in the NFL. It is very hard for a quarterback to mess up in that type of system, and I'm going to take the 49ers to get back to the Super Bowl for the second time in the past 3-4 years. They made it in 2020. 3 years, or 4, whatever you want to say. I'm taking the Niners to face the Bills in the Super Bowl, and now what we've been waiting for. Buffalo Bills versus San Francisco 49ers facing it off in Glendale, Arizona. Super Bowl 57, I believe, actually. I don't really know what Super Bowl this is. To win the Super Bowl in 2023, I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. Like I said, they're on a mission. The Buffalo Bills are on a mission. Josh Allen is going to get it done. The city of Buffalo named him mayor earlier this season, and he had to decline it, give it to the second place guy. But Josh Allen is going to take care of this city. He's going to win them a Super Bowl later or now, and it's going to be sooner than later. This is the season that the Bills are going to win it. And there's multiple teams that could win it. There's not a clear winner. I think a lot of people are going to take the Bills. People are going to take the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Niners, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Niners. There's multiple teams people could take. This is my second year of taking the Bills to win the Super Bowl. Last year, I had the Bills beating the Rams in the Super Bowl, so at least I got one of the teams right. But Bills versus 49ers is my Super Bowl prediction, with Buffalo taking it home. Josh Allen, of course, being the Super Bowl MVP, because I'm also going to throw that in there. But that will wrap up. I'm going to keep this paper here. Of course, as you can see, the Bills on the left side winning the Super Bowl. And this video is under record. It'll be posted, of course, so I'll probably either react to it or just look back and see what I was thinking wrong, because there's probably a 98% chance that one of these games is going to be off by at least a mile. But either way, that'll wrap up. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Peace.